Australians love coffee, but for every cappuccino, short black or skim latte, only 1% of the ground coffee beans finish up in the final product. It's a mountain of waste, which in Melbourne alone is conservatively estimated to total about 5,000 tonnes a week. For two enterprising miners in WA, this was an opportunity too good to miss, as Sean Murphy reports.
In the back blocks of Western Australia's largest port town, this could be a shipping container yard, but it's a working farm. They're growing oyster mushrooms, and besides its urban location, what sets this farm apart is the material used to grow its crop in. It's recycled coffee waste.
Oyster mushrooms love the coffee waste. They're also known as the vegetarian steak because of the B6, the B12, the iron. So they tick both of those boxes. We can grow them off the waste product. They love the coffee and they have a lot of nutritional value. So we're calling these the coffee mushroom. We're finding through the research and through feedback from chefs that there is a better taste to the mushrooms. The mushrooms grow better off of the coffee waste, and it's a waste product that typically goes to landfills.
Julian Mitchell and his business partner Ryan Creed got the idea while working in the mining industry.
When we were working in the mines as health and wellness officers, we saw that disconnect between society and fresh food. The philosophy behind Lifecykel is really a local food that emphasises nutrition and health, happiness and waste utilisation.
Their business started in the coffee-loving hub of Fremantle, where they won a competition hosted by the city. The One Planet pitch promotes triple bottom line sustainability.
Both got a good economic basis, but also good socially and environmentally. So these guys actually came and pitched it, and it got voted on by the community members as one of their favourites. But then they've got to go out and raise half the money from the community through crowdfunding, which they did, and then the council matches the other half.
It takes a month for the oyster mushrooms to grow out of their coffee waste packets, and it took Julian Mitchell and Ryan Creed even less time to raise $15,000 through crowdfunding. They offered most of their supporters home starter kits.
So this is day 3, and in about 4 or 5 days this guy will be ready to harvest. It will double in size each day, so it's very engaging and very fun to watch.
The reaction of the public's been overwhelming. A surprise to see how many people are contacting us who want to connect with the coffee ground collection, connect with the local food movement and be at the forefront of change for local food.
Fremantle's Bread in Common restaurant was quick to join the closed-loop system. It's one of 17 outlets in Fremantle and Perth exchanging fresh mushrooms for coffee grounds. Chef Scott Brannigan is an enthusiastic supporter.
Oh, that are beautiful. I've just got a nice little pork dish I'm going to do with them. Bit of togarashi and some seaweed, so be really good. Get your coffee grind. Yeah, mate. Cheers. Enjoy. See you later.
At Bread in Common, there's already a strong emphasis on sustainability.
And I use a lot of my waste to make vinegars, like fruit waste and things like that, so the mushrooms are just an extension of that. They come straight off, they're nice and fresh, and they can really taste it. I think everything, reducing that carbon footprint and all that sort of stuff is definitely a good thing to have. Definitely with food and the food movement.
People may love their coffee in Fremantle, but when it comes to coffee culture in Australia, all roads lead to Melbourne.
Hey guys!
Lifecykel has now expanded its operations to Melbourne and has entered a partnership with another crowd-funded coffee waste recycling venture. Caitlin Reid and Minna Larson's company Reground is already collecting a tonne of coffee waste every week for garden products.
In the city of Melbourne alone, there's about 5,000 tonnes of ground coffee, and that's a really conservative estimate based on cafes going through roughly 30 kgs of coffee a week. Most cafes go through a lot more, and then restaurants go through less, but that converts to methane gas, which is 20 to 40 times more potent than carbon pollution from cars. So that's why we want to keep it out of landfill, take it back into the garden where we can turn it into a resource.
So then we're talking about what we can potentially do in this space down here.
Yes.
Ryan Creed is busy building the business and new partnerships with a sharp focus on education. He's taking the Lifecykel mushroom starter kits to primary schools, working with Victoria's Life Education Company to grow the message about growing sustainable local food.
So mushrooms are very high in phosphorus, iron, vitamin B, and when you're harvesting them off the box into your pan and eating them straight away, like you were talking about, you're capturing that health.
So can you grow these in like an apartment where there's no land whatsoever?
Exactly, yeah. So someone that has an apartment and no backyard, it's an entry level to growing your own food. I'd love to find out more about the garden you've got at school here and how you're growing your own food.
The Lifecykel kits are also being offered to schools for fundraising as an alternative to chocolate, and the company is donating some of its proceeds to expanding the Life Education program.
You should see the look on the mother's face when we say we've got an alternative to chocolate for fundraising. They jump up and down and are very excited, and Lifecykel learning and the education piece of the business is something that Julian and I are very passionate about, and we're driving hard. We've got a 3-year plan to get into a very strong education-based system, and starting with the fundraising program is a really nice introduction to where we are heading.
As part of its research and development, the company has been experimenting with new types of waste material, such as straw, to grow the mushrooms in. They're also looking at expanding the types of mushrooms they grow on their cooked grain medium.
Very interested in the medicinal mushroom strains that are out there. Some are grown in the forests down south, like the reishi mushroom. In Tasmania, you can find that natively growing as well. And these have been in Chinese medicine for thousands of years and really starting to come into the Western world as having great health benefits. So we're exploring that area as well, but at the moment focused on edible mushrooms.
Besides Melbourne and Fremantle, they've now also started a closed loop at Noosa in Queensland. They reckon the potential is unlimited.
So when we think about in 2030 and 2050 there's going to be 7 billion people and 9 billion people, how are we going to do this? This current model is not sustainable for that, around huge broad-acre farming, shipping food all around the place, having a large carbon footprint attached to that. Growing food locally because it's fresh and tastier, but because it's also sustainable is really our vision, and that's what we want to do across Australia.